Hello everybody, this is David, Product Manager for Chrome Enterprise, and today I'd like to take you through our 2018 roadmap and show you all the beautiful features we have lined up to make Chrome the best device for you in the enterprise. A very quick note before we start, all information presented today is confidential and shared with you under NDA or your Chrome Enterprise License Agreement. We ask you please to not share, copy, or distribute any of this content. So to give you a little bit of perspective on how we think about Chrome OS and how we think about improving Chrome OS, we always think about our first principles. With speed, we want to make sure that users are able to boot up in 6 seconds and get up and going really quickly. We want to make sure that any experience, whether it's the web or the Play Store, is as snappy as possible. Simplicity means users are able to very easily use the device. The UI is not cluttered and they can get onboarded really quickly. For admins, it means they can scale their deployments to hundreds, thousands, and even tens of thousands of devices very simply and very easily. On the security front, this is very critical for us. We want to make sure that users' data is as secure as possible. We bring those features from the lowest levels of the hardware and the firmware all the way to the highest levels with things like safe browsing and Google Play Protect. And shareability, we want to make sure that those devices can be deployed in shared use cases, that multiple users can use the same device, and even the same user can use multiple devices. And this is very important for us, and one of the things that only Chrome OS can do on the market. On top of Chrome OS, we also have what we call Chrome Enterprise, and these are features enabled when you buy the Chrome Enterprise license. And in there we also have 4 different pillars. We focus on productivity, focus on control, security, support, and updates. On the productivity front, our goal is to make sure that users are able to run any application they want on the Chrome device, whether that application be a web application, a mobile application through the Play Store, or a Windows application through a virtualized environment. We are very keen on making sure that users will not have any issues with productivity on a Chrome device, and even be more productive on a Chrome device than any other device as well. So we'll take you through the additional features that we're adding here. The Google Play Store is a very critical component for productivity for users. The Google Play Store brings a wealth of apps into the Chrome ecosystem, and our users have been enjoying that for 2 years now. And so for 2018, we'll be adding many more features that even improve the experience even further. In Q1, we will be bringing Android app support for VPNs. So now you can choose one of the thousands of the different Android apps for VPN and be able to deploy that on Chromebooks for all your users, also via management. Moving into Q2, we will also be working with different ISVs to bring the best of their applications onto Chrome devices. One of our main partners, Cisco, we'll be working with them to bring apps like WebEx and Jabber and the full capability of that app ecosystem onto Chrome devices. So expect many joint launches with many of our different ISVs as well. We will also be bringing the Play Store to many more models. Since our launch in 2016, we support 3 models, but now we support 50+. And this has been very important for us because we want to make sure that you can use any form factor you want in the Chrome hardware ecosystem and get the full benefits of the Google Play Store on that. And last but not least, we also want to make sure that printing works seamlessly on Android apps. Today you can print on the Chrome side with cups, and we want to make sure that anything you try to print from the Android side, if your users go through Office or any of the other apps on the Android ecosystem, and they try to print, then they're able to use the exact same interface they get when they're printing on the Chrome OS side. Apart from mobile apps, we also have virtualization, which is a very important area for users to be able to run their Windows applications. So as we mentioned, we want users to be able to install and run any app they want on Chrome OS, whether it be a web app, a mobile app, or a Windows app. We are working very closely with all our vendors, virtualization vendors on Chrome OS. That includes vendors like Citrix and VMware, to port their apps to the Play Store, so that now they can actually offer a very rich and native experience through their Android apps on Chrome OS. Expect launches from these big vendors around Q2. In addition, we are also working with other vendors for more targeted towards the smaller and medium range of the business, vendors like Frame and Chromotive, to also bring their applications to the Play Store as well. So keep that on your radar as we move further into Q2, and as we work with these vendors and bring their products and the best of their products onto the Chrome platform. On the control aspect, this is something we care very, very deeply about because we want to give administrators the utmost control on their fleet and on the deployment of their fleet. We want to make sure that they are able to integrate with any legacy infrastructure they have. We want to make sure that they are able to scale out as much as possible. And this includes a very, very broad range of functionality, and we're very happy to also introduce you to all the new features that we'll bring in this area in 2018. If we look at fleet management, one big change we're making in Q1 is we're going to be bringing a streamlined trial and graduation flow to Chrome OS. So now if you want to just easily set up a domain and get some trial licenses to quickly test something, it should be possible now via our new setup flow. And with this new setup flow, anyone can just, in the space of 2 minutes, set up a domain, get trial licenses, and try out our full range of products. On top of that, we're also revamping our UI panel to bring much better improvements in terms of reporting, in terms of user experience and admin experience, and in terms of search. And expect a big revamp of the UI in Q2 so that you are able to more effectively deploy and scale your devices in your environment. And last but not least, of course, moving towards the end of the year, we are working with our OEMs and our channel, distributors and resellers, to bring you the ability to drop ship devices directly to users. In this universe, you won't have to bring devices internally anymore, first enroll them and then send them out. You can actually ask your partners and your suppliers to send those devices straight to the users. And we're hoping that with this new deployment model, you can also have a much more cost-effective solution with Chrome, where you can order devices directly from the factory floor and have them shipped straight to the users. Now, apps are also very, very important because you need to be able to take all these apps and deploy them very widely to your users. And we realize this is very critical for your enterprise. So we are bringing a host of features to make that much easier. So into Q1, we will be launching many features that make app management much easier. So things like uninstalling apps remotely, things like applying managed configurations to apps, and just generally the ability of allowing users to install any app they want and not just one app, a handful of apps from your whitelisted set. Into Q1, we also realize not just apps, but also Chrome extensions are very important for you to manage. You've traditionally been able to blacklist Chrome extensions on an extension by extension basis. We're also now bringing the ability to do this on a much more fine-grained per permission basis. So now you can say, for example, if you have an extension and it uses video, just disallow all extensions that use video. And in that way, you can have much more control over which extensions are installed, but also allow your users to install the extensions they might need in the course of their job without having to chase them down one by one. Moving into Q2, we would also like to improve the admin experience when there are multiple EMMs on the domain. Today, if you have AirWatch managing your Android phones, it becomes a little bit tricky to manage Android apps on Chromebooks as well. And we want to make sure that those two experiences can coexist properly. And this has been an ask from IT admins out there who are trying to have this hybrid environment. And in Q2, we will be bringing those improvements to streamline this experience. Two other features we are bringing as well into the Google Play ecosystem are bulk subscription support. So now you can actually buy apps for the entire domain, and this was something we'll be launching in Q2. In addition, we will be also launching per app blacklisting, so that now if you do allow all users to use any app they want, you can also fine-tune that by blacklisting specific apps in that context. Moving forward, we also talk about endpoint management, and this is one major feature that we've launched recently, is the ability to manage Chromebooks using a third-party EMM. And this was a launch we had in August with our partners at AirWatch, and we are very excited to tell you that in 2018, we are making improvements to that integration, so that when you're using AirWatch, you're able to manage even more policies. And moving into Q2, we will also be announcing support for many other of our EMM partners. So stay tuned for that, and if you would like to manage Chromebooks with other EMMs of your own choice, you will soon be able to do that as well. One other area that we also very focused on is making sure that Chromebooks integrate natively with Active Directory. We want to make sure that in the case of organizations that don't necessarily want to move to the cloud and want to keep using their on-premise systems, they have the full ability to do that. And we've recently launched the ability for Chromebooks to join a domain, to authenticate natively to Active Directory, and to be able to deploy group policy objects. And we will be extending that support moving into 2018. In Q1, we will be adding support for extensions and extension policies via GPOs. So now via group policy object, you will be able to deploy policy for extensions and configurations for extensions. We will also be adding support for Kerberos and NTLM v2 SSO. And this is important because when you're relying on an on-premise identity system, you also want your on-premise SSO to also work across all those apps that you have hosted in your internal networks. Further, we also want to make sure that AD setups work, even when they're quite complex. And we've had feedback from IT admins who want to use, who want to deploy Chromebooks in just more complex setup, things like multi-forest setups just start working, and we are making the improvements in the product to make sure that those are actually working seamlessly. And last but not least, we all know that you care very deeply about certificate enrollment and being able to integrate with Active Directory Certificate Authority. And we've heard a lot of feedback that you would like some improvements, especially around how device-wide certificates are treated and how they are enrolled. And in Q1, we will be making those improvements as well, so that you can seamlessly integrate with your certificate infrastructure with Active Directory. Moving forward, again, one major pillar for us is shareability, and Chrome OS has many interesting shared modes, whether it's logged-in users, whether it's public sessions, whether it's ephemeral mode. I want to make sure to keep improving those use cases as well. So we're very excited to announce that we are actually bringing the Google Play support to those modes. Previously, it was not possible to use Google Play in those, but now it is. And it's been a challenge on our end, of course, because the Android system was not made to be shared across users. So we wanted to bring the best of Android, but also maintain the best of Chrome OS. And we have succeeded at this very hard task, and very excited to bring that to you in the first quarter of 2018. In addition, we're also making a lot of speed up improvements in those shared scenarios. So we're working on things like caching installs, so that different users who are using the same application don't all have to download it multiple times, and it's just cached on the device. And we realize this is very important, because if you do want to use those deployments, whether it's public session, ephemeral mode, or just generally logged in users with the shared devices, it's very important to have a very snappy and quick experience. And again, this conforms very closely with one of our main pillars, which is speed. I want to make sure that Chrome is very fast, even in very complex setups, which involve multiple users and which involve complex systems like Android and Google Play. And last but not least, we've also heard a lot of feedback from you around the restrictions we have on public sessions. Things like not being able to install root certificates to allow for SSL inspection, and not being able to install any app or any extension that you would like to install. And previously we hadn't opened those capabilities due to restrictions around privacy for users. So we did not want to allow admins to configure those modes for users. But we are really removing those restrictions starting in Q1. And we hope that this will allow you to use things like public sessions in more and more use cases in your environment. Printing is a critical piece of your infrastructure, and we want to make sure that your users using Chrome devices are able to print whatever they want, whenever they want, to whichever printer they want. And we want to make sure this is a seamless experience. Towards the end of last year, we've brought support for the cup stack, which has brought support for thousands and thousands of printing models. And we've also given you the ability to manage those devices and those printers via the admin console. Moving into 2018, we are still working on that, and we want to make sure that experience remains as seamless as possible. We're incorporating many of your feature requests, so now you will be able to do things like network discovery, so that your users can take their Chromebooks anywhere in the organization and be able to just identify printers directly. We'll also be adding support for advanced options that you can configure via management, things like black and white printing and double-sided printing. Enterprise networks and file shares are equally critical, because when you want to provide Chrome devices in your infrastructure, you want to make sure that these devices will work with any legacy systems, whether it's networks or file shares. And we're very excited in 2018 to bring many improvements in this area. In Q1, we will be adding support for complex networks for Google Play apps, things like man-in-the-middle proxies, and unifying Android and Chrome OS certificate stores. Whether you're deploying server certificates or client certificates, Google Play apps should behave in a very similar way as Chrome OS today. In Q2, we will be making improvements to enterprise networking. We'll be adding the ability to have passwords passed through to 802.1x networks. This is very important in cases where you have networks that are based on the same credentials that device login is based on, so that users don't have to log in twice to the device and to the network, and instead just can log in once and have that SSO permeate throughout the entire session. Moving into Q3, we will be adding new features to Windows file share support. So we already have our initial version, and we want to make drastic performance improvements to that to bring it a much more native feel to it. In addition, we'll also be adding management functionality to those file shares. And reporting is another area where we'll be investing in. We will be adding many improvements, among others, device reporting by user activity by device, being able to see all the installed apps and extensions by both device and user. And we will be launching these in Q3. Security is one of our most important aspects, and this is a big differentiator for Chrome OS on the market. And we care about security all the way, from the very bottom of the firmware and the hardware all the way to the very top and the highest level features in our product. We're very excited to bring to you the improvements we have on the OS platform. In Q1, you'll be able now to disable sign-ins on out of the 8 OS. If you do have a security stature where you want to make sure that your users are running the latest operating system, and now you can disable sign-ins on any operating system that is not conformant to your security standards. In Q1 as well, we also bring the ability to restrict sign-ins to managed devices only. So if you do have a single sign-on endpoint and you do not want unmanaged users or unmanaged endpoints to be able to access it, now you have the ability to install device-wide certificates on a Chrome device and use those certificates in a single sign-on flow. This will help your single sign-on endpoint determine which devices to trust and which devices not to trust. And with this ability, you'll be able to gate sign-in to only managed endpoints. Moving into Q2, we also are going to announce identity-aware proxy support for Chrome devices. Identity-aware proxy is a great way to gate access to resources based on the stature of certain endpoints. And we will be bringing that to Chrome OS as well, so that you can gate the resources you have in Google Cloud or in G Suite based on the state of your Chrome OS endpoint, whether it's enrolled, whether it's in verified boot, whether it has a lock screen. And this is something that we'll be announcing in Q2. In addition to that, we're also going to be announcing a remote wipe of user profiles. In many cases, you have lost and stolen devices that you'd like to wipe remotely so that no user data is left on the device. Or in many cases, you want to wipe a device so that you can provision it to the next user, next set of users. You will now be able to do that starting in Q2. And moving towards the later end of the year, we're also going to be adding support for log uploading and real-time analysis. This is an area that we're very excited about, as many things happen on the device you would like to know about, and you would like to take actions on devices that are doing certain things that we can detect from the logs. So stay tuned for that as we move to the later end of the year. On the single sign-on front, and this of course is a very important aspect of security, we're working with many of our partners now to bring smart card-based authentication onto the device. So now you can, if you have your employees, they have a smart card, and then they can use that smart card to both authenticate into the device and then encrypt their data and lock their screens with that smart card. And we're applying the same infrastructure to also allow badge-based access. So we work with partners like Imprivata and Huffcast to bring that support to the Chrome platform as well. And we are very excited about this, as for many of our customers, it improves the stature of their security for Chrome devices, since now they can use these hardware tokens to gate authentication to the device. So data privacy and security compliance is a big topic for many of our customers. And we are very happy to announce that in 2018 we are bringing many improvements in this area as well. In Q4 2017 we have actually already gotten certificates for ISO and SOC security standards. So now you can make sure that your use of Chrome Enterprise is actually compliant with very high data security standards. In Q1, we will be issuing a data processing agreement as an amendment to the existing Chrome Enterprise contracts. This will allow you to have very much stronger guarantees around data privacy and data security. And moving into Q2, we will become GDPR compliant as a data processor with Chrome Enterprise. This will also help many of our customers in the EU meet their data processing obligations under the new GDPR regulations going into effect in May. Our last pillar is support and updates, and these are very important. Customers want to be able to have 24/7 enterprise support so that you can call us anytime and we can answer all these questions. We also realize update management is extremely important for your organization. You want the ability to stay secure and up to date as much as possible. But you also want to balance that with the ability to minimize disruption in the field. For that, we're adding also many features in 2018. In Q2, you will see changes in the update policies. You will now be able to schedule updates during certain hours. For example, if you have a store and you want to make sure updates are only downloaded off hours, it will now be possible to do that. We'll also be reducing update sizes so that you're able to reduce any network load in your shops, in your stores, and in your offices. Moving into Q3, we'll also be adding support for OS rollback. We want to make sure that if you are issuing any updates and there are any potential breakages, you're able to roll back all affected units back to a previously known version. And of course, this is very important because we want to make sure you are able to remain on the auto updates and you're able to push updates every 6 weeks on the Chrome OS schedule, but you also want to make sure you don't disrupt any workflows. So as soon as you detect breakages, you're able to roll back. We would like to reiterate our commitment to the enterprise. We are trying very, very hard to make sure that Chrome devices are the #1 devices of choice for the enterprise because they're fast, they're cost effective, and they're super, super secure. We keep adding features and we keep enhancing our support infrastructure. And in 2018, you will see more and more availability of devices in broader geographies. And this, of course, is very important for you in the enterprise as you have offices all around the world and you want to make sure that Chrome devices arrive to you all across the world. We hope you're as excited as we are about the next year, and here's a video to showcase our latest and greatest.